As its U.S. competitors sort through bankruptcy, Ford is forging ahead with its overhaul and plans to strengthen its balance sheet without selling more stock. For more on this, Betty Lou is in Detroit with Ford CEO Alan Mulally. Betty?
That's right. I am joined by the chief executive of Ford Motor Company, as you just mentioned, Alan Mulally. And thanks so much for joining us and taking some time out of this national summit to sit down and talk about the automakers. Obviously, a very big topic for us these days. You've got your two biggest competitors here in Detroit, GM, Chrysler. They're right now, GM's still in bankruptcy at this point. Getting government aid, how does that complicate the situation for you at Ford?
Well, I think as everybody knows, we were supportive of the U.S. government getting involved because, clearly GM and Chrysler were in very serious financial trouble. And what we were really worried about was the health of the industry, but also the health of the U.S. economy and the supply base. And if they would have gone into a free fall into bankruptcy, the suppliers would have gone into bankruptcy, and it would have dragged down the entire industry. So we were supportive of it. We think the government is doing the right thing. We also believe that they want to get out of the business as quickly as they can. And so what we're really
focused on, get out of bankruptcy as quick as they can.
And get out of the business. Well, you get out of the business as quickly as they can, too. But clearly, our focus is on Ford, and we're in a different place, and our focus is on satisfying all the Ford customers with the best cars and trucks.
And yet, what do you say to those, though, who have been coming up and saying, but this puts you at a disadvantage because now you've got two rivals who are being helped by the government. They're able to cut their debt down. They're able to be very aggressive with their dealers. What do you say to that?
No, I understand. And clearly, in Ford's case, we have so many more advantages than any potential disadvantages. And on the potential disadvantages, we're watching that very closely, and so is the government, because they are very pleased that we're not taking taxpayer money. And the real mandate was to restructure the industry for the good of the United States. So when it comes to the supplier base, we're working very closely with them. When it comes to freeing up the credit, we're working very closely with Treasury and with the Fed. So they are very pleased with Ford's plan and the progress we're making, and we'll continue to work very closely with them.
Tell me a little bit about some of the advantages. Do you, for instance, get any pricing advantage because you are Ford versus GM and Chrysler, who's been struggling through this?
Well, it's a very interesting question because, clearly the consumers are appreciating Ford, and it starts with the product lineup because we made a commitment to the customers that we are going to have a full product lineup for them, small and medium and large, cars, utilities, and trucks. And we also made a commitment that every one of them was going to be best in class in quality, fuel efficiency, safety, and value. And every one of our vehicles now are delivering on that promise. So we have been picking up market share each month, but also the customers are paying for the value. So we've been decreasing the incentives. We've got our stocks down. The residual values are going up. So the consumers, I think, really appreciate where Ford's going. And they also want a strong business, because when you buy a car, next to your home, it's the second biggest decision you probably make. So they want to know they're dealing with a financially viable, strong business.
Well, can you give me a sense of that market share that you're grabbing? I mean, are you really seeing, for instance, people going in and saying, look, I don't want to buy GM, I don't want to buy Chrysler because I don't know what's going to happen with the government, but I want to buy Ford because I want to stick with a U.S. automaker?
Well, it's not so much just the U.S. automaker, because the people that have had the Japanese cars are coming to Ford now, as well as the other domestic U.S. And the consumer really, they really understand what's available. They're very discriminating. Information about the cars is ubiquitous. People do their homework. They want the best quality, the best fuel efficiency, and the best safety. And they're seeing all the proof points now, Consumer Reports and J.D. Powers, all the third party, all the twittering. Everybody knows everything. And clearly they know that Ford has a fantastic product lineup for them today.
Alan, when do you see auto sales rebounding? When might we see auto sales rebounding to pre-crisis levels?
Well, I think the initial rebound will go with economic development and in the United States. And I think we are just about where everybody else. We see a contraction for the second quarter. We see an expansion in the economy in the third quarter, and then a little further expansion in the fourth quarter. And so I think our sales recovery will go with that. But clearly, we're not counting on the sales to come back dramatically right away. We have restructured ourselves to the lower demand. We're going to get back to profitability. We have the cars that people want, and then we'll be there to help drive the economic recovery.
Well, because I was talking talking to GM earlier this week, and they were saying that they see sales rising right now from April to May. They're sort of seeing some of that back-to-back growth there. I mean, are you seeing that as well right now as we speak?
We all are kind of wondering, as automobiles are usually a kind of a leading indicator of consumer confidence and the economy, and we got a lot of moving pieces right now that everybody's working on, but we're kind of cautiously optimistic that in addition to the strength of our product line, we're seeing kind of the bottom here.
Okay. Now, you still have a lot of debt on your balance sheet, and you also said before that you're not going to issue any more equity, though, in order to take care of some of that debt. So how are you going to reduce your debt load in the meantime?
Well, we have been taking. We have reduced our debt by $10 billion. We went to the equity markets, and people believe in Ford, and we raised $1.6 billion on the strength of our business plan going forward. And then, of course, as we move back to profitability in 2011 and then generating cash that goes with that, then we'll accelerate the improvement of
out, or I don't want to say too many years, but will you look at some further equity issues? I mean, not right now, but further on out?
Our main focus is to profitability and start paying down the debt, and so we're on that plan.
Okay. What about dealerships, though? Are you planning on any further cuts in dealerships?
We'll see a little bit more consolidation with the Ford dealers. Remember, we're in just such a different place than our competitors, because when we divested all the other brands, the Aston Martin, the Jaguar, Land Rover, and focus is on the Ford brand. So all of that other distribution, all those dealers went with them. So the only issue we have at Ford is in some large metropolitan areas, we have just a few too many dealers, and we are continuing to work with them very collaboratively to reduce them, get their throughput up. Is the most important thing for us, because then they can provide even better service to the consumer.
What's the latest status on selling Volvo?
It's held for sale, and Volvo is doing great. Now, all these brands are great brands. It's not that we don't love them. They're great brand worldwide. And Volvo has a great product development plan. They continue to invest in the product line. They've been working their quality and productivity. Continue to talk to potential buyers.
Right, including Beijing Auto. The only reason why I raise that question is because you've seen some of the Chinese buyers.
Now, I did.
Okay, so reports are of Beijing Auto, but the reason why I ask is because you've seen a lot of the Chinese car companies come up. They see this as their. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the Chinese are clearly going to be a major player in the automobile industry. And when you look at the market alone, they just pass through about 10 million vehicles a year. And we are very pleased with our relationship with the Chinese auto manufacturers. We have a great relationship with them. We do joint ventures together. We're making the Focus and the Fusion, the Mondeo, all with them. And so we really our relationship with the Chinese manufacturer, and we anticipate that'll continue. Okay,
well, Alan, we've only got a little bit of time.
No, we need to talk some more about these great products.
I know. Well, I want to talk about the World Car
the Fiesta.
That you're looking at, essentially creating this for Ford. Now, I know earlier years ago you tried this as well, but you just couldn't get all the regions to come together and agree on what model it was going to be. Now it's going to be the Fiesta. How's it going to be different this time around?
Well, this is a really neat part about the new Ford, because when I arrived, we agreed that if we're going to compete against the best in the world, then we had to have the scale to do that. And so we decided that we were going to pull all of our resources together worldwide, use all of our innovation, and not only on the Fiesta, but you look at the Ka, the Fiesta, the Focus, the new Fusion, all of these cars and the small utility vehicles, all of them will be on global platforms with all of our suppliers lined up all around the world. And you can imagine the scale and the quality and the productivity and what that'll mean to the consumer.
And the cost savings.
And the cost savings, because we'll be able to give the consumer not only the finest innovation from around the world, but also very good value.
Okay, Alan Mulally, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate the time.
You're welcome.
Alan Mulally, CEO of Ford Motor Company. Back to you, Matt.
All right, Betty, thanks very much.